Hello, everyone. I'm Noah, and welcome to In the Flow, a space where rhythm, movement, and speaking from the heart come together. Some thoughts sit with you, some move through you. And this is one of those thoughts that moved me. This episode is called Precious Lord, Take My Hand, Aretha Franklin's Gospel, Karl Dunn's Call for Connection, and the many ways we seek something more. Before we begin, take a moment. Get comfortable. Maybe you're sitting with a cup of tea. Maybe you're out on a walk. Maybe you just need a moment to slow down and breathe. Wherever you are, I invite you to step into this space with me, to reflect, to listen, and to see where the Spirit might move you today. I was watching the Aretha Franklin biopic the other day, and there was a moment that stopped me in my tracks. It was a scene where we glimpse her deepest vulnerability, when she's terrified of stepping on stage to record a gospel album, the music of her childhood faith. She's worried she might make a fool of herself if the Spirit stirs her so strongly that tears overtake her mid-performance. The response she gets is simple yet profound. You cannot help where the Spirit goes. That line has stayed with me, because faith, in whatever form we hold it, often sneaks up on us. It's there in the quiet moments, waiting in the wings when we're feeling alone, lost, or unsteady. Sometimes we set it down, convinced we can handle life by ourselves. Sometimes we pick it back up because life reminds us we can't do it all alone. If you have a moment, close your eyes and listen to Aretha's rendition of Precious Lord, Take My Hand, You've Got a Friend. The song begins with a hushed, almost trembling plea. Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on, let me stand. It doesn't matter if gospel music is your thing. Something in the way she draws out those words can stop you in your tracks. It's as if she's tapping into every ache, every doubt, every unspoken hope we carry around. When her voice swells, you can feel your own spirit rise with it. I'm not particularly religious, yet this song tugs at something deep in me. It calls up that quiet place where I've tucked away questions about who I am, what I believe, and why I'm here. Faith for me hasn't always been about kneeling in a pew or memorizing verses. It's more about the steady reassurance that there's something, call it God, the universe, or love, that holds me up when my own strength falters. Aretha's life wasn't a straight path. She carried the weight of expectations, personal struggles, and the push and pull of faith in both public and private spaces. But she never stopped showing up in the world with purpose. She was more than just a voice. She was an activist, an artist who used her music as both a sanctuary and a battle cry. And sometimes her faith looked like fire, powerful, unwavering, unafraid. Other times it looked like surrender, hands lifted in prayer, knowing she couldn't carry everything alone. And isn't that what faith is? Not always certainty, but the willingness to keep coming back, even when we don't have all the answers. Recently, I found myself texting family and friends on a random Sunday, challenging them to reach out to someone they hadn't spoken to in a while, just to say, "Hey, I was thinking about you." Then at 5 p.m., I asked everyone to pause, pray, meditate, or simply wish someone well. We didn't gather in a church or follow any set ritual. We just shared a moment of kindness and hope for one another. It was a small act, but it felt surprisingly powerful. I was reminded of this quiet, patient aspect of faith when I came across a photograph shared by Grant, a photographer whose work I follow. His son had captured an image of a large wooden cross leaning against a mailbox outside an old red phone booth in Scotland. There's no one in the frame. It looks like someone set their faith aside, maybe to make a call or mail a letter, and then walked away. But that's the thing about faith. It waits. Whether you leave it for an hour, a day, or a decade, it's still there, standing silently against the everyday backdrop of your life, ready for you to circle back and retrieve it. Another person influencing my thoughts these days is Karl Dunn, who writes passionately about what he calls undividing our disconnected world. He reminds us that we're not built for constant outrage, that our nervous systems weren't designed to consume this much conflict. Instead, we're wired for genuine connection, and when we lose sight of that, we become strangers to each other and even to ourselves. Karl believes real change happens when we choose dialogue over division. He's written that disagreeing with someone isn't a division, disconnecting from them is. It's a crucial reminder. We can hold different perspectives without letting those differences become walls. Rather than bracing ourselves for combat in every conversation, we can approach it like a bridge waiting to be built. The more I reflect on Aretha's gospel, the more I see how it nurtures this spirit of connection. She didn't just sing to an audience, she sang with them, weaving each listener's hopes and fears into her own. Like Karl's call to undo the disconnect, Aretha's music breaks through barriers, cultural, spiritual, or personal, and invites everyone to share in something bigger than themselves. In a world where we're drowning in information but starving for wisdom, as Karl likes to say, faith at its best is that bridge reminding us we're not alone. Whether you call it prayer, meditation, or empathy, it's an acknowledgement that the same spirit moving through Aretha's music can move through us too, helping us find grace, healing, and a renewed sense of direction. So here's a little challenge for you. 1. Play Aretha's song if you can. Let her voice fill the room and seep into your bones. 2. Close your eyes and think about the people who've been there for you. Friends, family, or even strangers who lent a hand when you needed it most. 3. Reach out to someone you haven't spoken to in a while. A simple "how are you?" or "you crossed my mind today" can be enough to remind them they matter. You don't have to be religious to sense something bigger at work when we connect with each other. Sometimes, all we need is a gentle reminder, like Aretha's soaring vocals, to feel it. If the spirit moves you to tears, let them flow. If it stirs laughter, embrace that too. After all, you cannot help where the spirit goes. Thank you for spending this time with me. If you enjoyed this, I'd love to have you back for the next episode of In the Flow. Until then, stay curious, stay open, and keep looking for the beauty around you. You can read the original post. The link is in the description. All right, that's it for now. Thanks again for listening. Until next time, take care. Noah.